We think the United States is trying to take away our free speech and stop us from speaking our mind or voicing our opinion. Well, in Norway, if you speak your mind and voice your opinion, you face jail time. This Norwegian filmmaker is facing 3 years in prison for saying men cannot be lesbians, something that is absolutely true, but now she could go to prison for it. And pretty soon, the United States is going to be just like Norway. And this is a true story. No bullshit. This woman in Norway, who's a filmmaker and an actress, is facing prison time for criminal hate speech because she said men cannot be lesbians. Her name is Tanji Jevjan. She's a lesbian filmmaker and actress, and she was informed on November 17th that she was under investigation for speaking out against a prominent Norwegian activist named Christine Jentoft. Well, Jentoft happens to be a transgender female who often refers to herself as a mother. Well, Jevjan, excuse me with the names, they're a little difficult for me. She was speaking her mind, and she's arguing that no, men cannot be lesbians. And now we all know that a lesbian is supposedly, by definition, a woman who is gay, who likes or loves other women. Now, we all know men love women, and some men will say to their buddies, you're a lesbian. Well, that may be true, but that is probably not the correct definition of lesbian. Nor should a transgender female get upset and butthurt that someone is calling her out that she is running around saying she's a lesbian when in fact she is a biological male. Jevjan said that she intentionally posted it on Facebook to draw attention to Norway's hate speech laws, because apparently you think in the United States we get in trouble for saying stuff. Over here, they just try to cancel you and take you off of Twitter and things like that. But in Norway, you can literally get locked up for it. Her comments appeared to be under investigation for falling under a 2020 amendment to the country's penal code that added gender identity and gender expression under protected categories for hate speech. And the maximum time in prison is 3 years. She has not stopped her outspokenness about this. In fact, she's fighting this, and if it takes her going to court and facing prison time, she's willing to do it because she believes in what she says. Last year, she confronted Annette, excuse me on this one, Tretbergsten, Norway's Minister of Culture and Reality, claiming that misconstruing gender identity and biological sex is harmful and discriminatory and has implications for women, especially women who are lesbian, biological females. The equality minister took action supposedly to ensure that lesbian women's rights were safeguarded, although that doesn't seem to be the case because Ms. Jevjan is now being charged and investigated for saying men can't be lesbians. Now, if you don't think that in the United States of America this will never happen, you need to think again. And this goes back to Uncle Joe's signing the other day of the equality in marriage, respect in marriage, whatever the hell they're calling it. We all know, and I said in my last video, I thought same-sex marriage was legal for at least 10 years. Apparently, it's been legal for probably closer to 20 years. And interracial marriage has been legal for probably 20 years or more also. But the Biden administration wants to get all these people all happy and excited saying, look what we did for you, LGBTQ. We passed a law so now you can marry each other or you can marry somebody from another race, which is absolute bullshit. Biden knows it. Pelosi and Schumer know it. But they're going to take credit for something that's been going on for years. All that bill did, and I'll say it like I said in my last video, is clear the way for parents who are on board with this to take their young children and get them gender affirming surgery, something that will harm them for the rest of their life. Norway apparently took a stand because apparently they have a large LGBTQ population, as the United States does, and I don't know how big of a population, but they thought it big enough that they were going to pass a law that charged a person with a hate crime for speaking the truth, for speaking the scientific, biological truth. A man can call himself a woman all he wants. A man can get breast implants and have the gender affirming surgery and have his penis removed and get his medically made vagina, if you will. But that does not make that person a biological female. He was born a man, a boy. He will always be biologically a man. No matter what he wears, what kind of surgeries he has, or hormones he takes, he will always be a biological male. So why? Why is it so wrong for someone to have an opinion against that? I don't understand. We all thought that we had the freedom, to speak our minds and say what we thought. And we do, or we used to, but we still should. But being punished and being threatened with prison time for saying something that is absolute 100% factual is so outrageous. I can't believe there's not even a bigger pushback with this in Norway. But apparently they're probably all afraid because they're going to throw them all in jail. Which again, if Biden had his way, in my opinion, people would be getting locked up for misgendering people. Well, if you see someone, if you walk into a store and the person working behind the counter has long hair, a dress on, and makeup, but has a beard and mustache, are you supposed to think that that's a woman? Is it proper to say, "Excuse me, miss"? I guess in today's world it is proper, but being a person who really thinks the way we all should think, that this is bullshit, if you called, "Excuse me, sir," you would absolutely trigger that person and offend that person and probably be thrown out of the store by someone. We still can't go to jail for it in the United States, but I would imagine that somewhere down the line, if these liberal, bleeding heart Democrats keep getting elected to office, keep getting elected to the White House, soon we will probably see the laws that Norway has. We can all go about our business every day. We can all blend in with everybody, no matter what color you are, no matter what language you speak, and no matter what gender you are, because after all, there are two genders. There's males and there's females. And for a country to enact law that wants to lock people up and take away their right of free speech to say what's on their mind, the politicians who approve this should certainly all be removed from office and never allowed to serve again, because they're doing what the United States is doing right now, only they're doing it 100 times worse. In the United States, the politicians in Washington are giving this group of people more rights than any other citizen. If you, excuse me, if you're LGBTQ, or you say you are because you're looking for something from the government, you're all set. They will certainly have your back. They will certainly make sure that you have everything you need, especially in San Francisco, where they're going to pay people just to be LGBTQ. But in fact, it is all a scam. I don't doubt that there are really some people, some men, who think they're women or would like to think they were women, but we all know all they really are is a gay male. And for some reason, they're ashamed to admit that. So they want to parade around in women's clothes, and they want all these laws and rights passed specifically for them, so they can have more rights than anybody else. So if someone points the finger at them, they can cry and whine and bitch. And the person who pointed the finger will, of course, be the bad guy. But in Norway, God forbid, you speak your mind, in 2022, you will go to prison, most likely, for one thing, for speaking your mind. Your right to free speech is absolutely violated, and the government does not care. They care about that specific group of people, because after all, they want, the bigger that group is, the more votes they'll get, and the more ridiculous laws and policy they'll be able to implement. So stay tuned, because if this keeps up in the United States, we're going to have the same thing here. Hate speech to a person who supposedly is a different gender, when we know they're not. But if you misgender somebody, we could face jail time someday. We already have hate crimes, of course, white on black, black on white, black, Asian, whatever. There's hate crimes. But today, so far, we can't be investigated and charged for misgendering somebody. But I imagine it's coming. And as long as this guy's in the White House, you know he's going to push for it. And he's not going to stop until he leaves the White House in 2 years. And that's it. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I hate to sound like a broken record with this subject, but it's always something. It's always more and more. And when I saw this today, I could not believe that a country would lock somebody up for voicing their opinion, which is absolutely legal, and it should remain legal. And that's it. And that's my opinion. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. Share my videos with someone if you will. I'd appreciate that. I hope everybody's healthy and safe. And excuse my voice. I've had a little sore throat all day. And I'll see you real soon with something else. Have a great day.